Big night on the Minnesota sports scene as the Timberwolves head to Phoenix up 2-0. But we're going to talk about the Twins who walk off the White Sox, send them to 3-20 on the season as the Twins clinch ever closer to 500. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. And joining me watching this incredible walk-off win for your Minnesota Twins is Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. Dave, what up?
Hey, it's a good thing the White Sox are still on the schedule, eh?
I don't know if we're qualified to go like Canadians, but I did grow up near Canada, so I'm going to appropriate that for this show. But yeah, no, it's certainly beneficial to have the White Sox on the schedule as much as the Twins will the rest of the way. By the way, thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we're your team every day. Love to have you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening or watching. We would love a subscribe, a like, a thumbs up, whatever you can do. We appreciate it. It feeds that funky algorithm that tells us this show is good. So, hey, help us out if you would. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use that code, which is Locked On MLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. Dave, 6-5 win.
Yeah.
6-5 win on the heels of a 7-0 win. We'll get back to game one later on. I had some issues with my throat not feeling great, so we did not do a show last night. Those issues are back, but I have come prepared. So the Twins decided to reward our efforts with a pretty cool walk-off win. What are your immediate thoughts here as we dive into that?
Well, I guess it's a good thing. I made a snide comment earlier about how it's a good thing the White Sox are on the schedule. You know, they did try, but their record now, they're on a pace, I think, to go 21 and 124. Is that right? 124, something like that. That doesn't add up. But
143, 141.
Yeah.
21 and 141. That would be it.
21 and 141. So they're on a historically bad pace. Tonight they got a nice clutch hit from Andrew Benintendi when it didn't look like he would ever get a clutch hit for them again. So I thought, I was trying to think of like cute phrases or headlines for this game, and you can't lose them all was coming to mind as far as the White Sox go, but they managed anyway to help the Twins get back in it. And, the Twins were, it wasn't a masterpiece. It wasn't a good start for Pablo. They couldn't do anything against Fetty, who I think has good stuff. Not that anybody wants to hear that, but he would have shut down a lot of teams, but it was a good thing that he couldn't pitch all 9 innings because the White Sox bullpen wasn't as much of a fortress as Fetty was on the mound. So Buxton came through. It was a great time for his first homer of the year. Kirilloff's swings were he had struck out 4 times, and his swings right up until the last one were not any good. He was having kind of a cruddy last at bat, but he got a pitch he could handle and put the game winner into play. So it's as veteran Justin Morneau said, what happened before doesn't matter. It's all about what happens in your next at bat. And his last at bat was a good one. So and the Twins, they needed it again, but they got it. So it's still a long way to go, but it's better than a loss.
That 5-2 lead evaporated late, and it doesn't. Maybe Twins fans don't know about these guys. Michael Kopech they'll know about, but Jordan Leisure and Steven Wilson have been 2 of the better relievers in this bullpen. if they're going to line up guys to win a ball game, it's probably going to be those three guys. Maybe not in that order, because I did see some White Sox fans suggesting that Kopech is their closer and should have pitched the ninth, which that's a battle for a different day. You're 3-19, now 3-20. You don't need to worry about bullpen hierarchy. You need to worry about winning some ball games. But the Twins did it against the best of what the White Sox have to offer out of the bullpen. And, they're beating a bad White Sox team. And so you're going to get a lot of snide messages of, oh, you're just doing what you're supposed to. But I don't think we should sleep on the idea that just some good mojo, you take 3 of 4 or sweep this series, and it doesn't matter who you play next. It happens to be the Angels and then the White Sox again. But if you were going to play the Yankees, you would still leave this series feeling pretty good if you could take 3 of 4 from the White Sox. It doesn't matter to you that it is the White Sox. It's just good to have some positive energy, some positive motion. So I don't really buy into the fact that it's just the White Sox. Yes, that's true. But also, any good news can get things going in the right direction.
Well, we can sort of look back on the season when it's over, and if it happens to have a positive, a happy ending for the Twins, we can sort of look back and say, hey, remember that White Sox series when they were coming in and it's the worst team ever, and blah blah blah. But what happens is you can get some confidence going. You have some positive results. You can not look at a box score and see an L up there. You can look at the standings and see yourselves staying with the competition rather than falling further behind. So it's not nothing to beat the White Sox as bad as they are. It's something to get some good confidence going in some guys who need it. Trevor Larnach looks like he's swinging the bat really well. Kirilloff hasn't really looked like he's been swinging the bat great, but if you keep at it, Carlos Santana even got a big hit tonight. So, and that fans have been waiting for that all season to happen. On the one hand, it was kind of a bummer when Jackson frittered away the closer deficit, but then he came back with a few decent at bats himself as a pitcher in the next inning. So it's you build little bits on games like this, and it's a big deal that they didn't lose. I mean, it is. It's hard to win these games even when the opponent is not very good.
Yeah, and the White Sox are a team of they needed this. Like the White Sox, if they had won, would have been, wow, they needed this. But how many different Twins could you say this for? Kirilloff with the walk-off hit. Buxton with the homer to tie it. Carlos Santana goes 1 for 3 with a walk.
Sure.
And a hustle double. I mean, still getting after it at 38. Who else? Vasquez even had a hit. He struck out twice, including in the 9th there. But you got to take the small wins when you can. Twins 3, 4, 6 with runners in scoring position, and if I'm not mistaken, 6 extra base hits. So 6 of their 10 hits going for extra bases. As frustrating of a night as it was offensively, and I'll be honest with you, at 5-2, I thought it was over. They did make them count, which we have not seen much of this year.
Well, 9 times out of 10, when you're down 9-2 in the 8th inning, it is over. There aren't many.
9-2, you are 5-2 though.
5-2, yeah. When you're down by anything in those late innings, it's hard to. It's just the comebacks just don't happen.
Right.
People talk about a team that's a good comeback team, but usually major league bullpens are gonna, even if they're mediocre pitchers, they're gonna hold that lead. So, and the way the Twins have been hitting, like you said, you thought when it was 5-2, well, that's too big of a burden to climb late in the game. It kind of does. It makes you wonder. Are they not having as competitive at bats earlier in the game? That could be, and that's something to kind of worry about for tomorrow. But Fedde also is a much better pitcher than he was with the Nationals before he went overseas. So he's a competitive pitcher now, where before he was just kind of a guy with an arm sort of lost. Now, he looks like he could be a good rotation starter. So, those guys are going to have performances like this. The did the White Sox need a win, for their own psyches? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But still, I can probably count 3 or 4 games that were tougher losses for them this year. And that's, when you have that record that they do, that actually it's not hard to add those up. So I don't know where the White Sox are going, but it's going to be a long road to, 50 wins or 40 wins or whatever it is they're going to end up with. The Twins, on the other hand,
yeah,
they needed it because they're going to be a competitor, and they're conversely, they're not going to be a competitor if they don't pull out some games like this. So it's a much bigger game for the White Sox and for the Twins and the White Sox. The White Sox ain't going nowhere.
I think Fetty, before we go to break here, Fetty is going to possibly be a sneaky trade deadline acquisition for somebody because he signed not only this year, but next at a very reasonable rate. And so that might be a spot where the White Sox can get some value back because, Luis Robert is hurt and they probably want to hang on to him. He's young and good. They already traded Dylan Cease, who's off to a good start. And who knows with Eloy Jimenez, Moncada's hurt. But Jimenez, how would he be valued as a DH only or mostly DH who can't stay healthy? He even had a ball tonight where he had a hit and the splinter of the bat caught him in the eye. I mean, that was like the most 2024 White Sox thing ever.
They've had, well, you want to do a break, but the White Sox have had 3 major players hurt themselves running to first base. So, I mean, they can't get even out of the batter's box. Even get out of the batter's box without something horrendous happening.
I think that's the White Sox version of the Nationals. We don't care how hard you throw ball 4.
Right.
We don't care how bad you get hurt if you don't make it to first base. Anyway, let's take a quick pause. We've got a little love for Monopoly Go. We've got a little love for PrizePicks. When we come back, we're going to talk Timberwolves. I'm kidding. We're not talking Timberwolves. We're going to talk about Byron Buxton. We'll talk about Pablo having a tough game, but the Twins offense responds late. But again, a quick break. Our friends at Monopoly Go know that we've all been there either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. That was true for the Timberwolves. They were down at halftime, and also the Twins, who were down as bad as 5-2 late and rallied back. But if you're feeling low and you're not sure you or your team can pull out a win, that's when you dig deep, you lift your head up and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. If you're thinking, what does that mean? Here, I got word just for you. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but it's on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. And there's so much else you can do. You can play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. You can make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Boy, a number of times.
Make your friends bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Charge. I think that's what Steve Cohen set out to do, and it didn't really work. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends if you want to work with them to crack open community chests, and in tournaments, you can work together to get rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go. Now free on the App Store or on Google Play. And PrizePicks is the #1 largest DFS game in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. So instead of playing against other players who might be using algorithms or a whole bunch of entries into a contest, it's just you picking more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. The app has a new feature called Demons and Goblins. The demon picks are in red. They're a little scarier, but you can really rack up the wins and rack up the cash like 100 times your money. So you put down $10 to get 1,000. If you like to be a little more of a risk taker, that's the place for you. If you're a little less of a risk taker, you're looking at the Goblins. Those are green Goblin. Remember the G, because it's designed to keep you in the green and allow you to land consistent victories. The payout is less than a demon pick, but your chances of keeping your winning streak going are much higher. So if you're into the NBA and playoff time, you can pick more than or less than on 3-pointers, turnovers committed, and for baseball, as we're really ramping up here. About 20 games in for these teams. You can pick more than or less than on pitcher strikeouts and first inning runs. So download the app today and enter the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, all one word, and you get that first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Dave, we're coming to our bullpen segment. Twins win 6-5, move to 9-13 on the season, 4-6 at home. And so before we get to Byron Buxton, who had a really nice game, actually, I picked him. I was sorting through, nobody's going to care about this, but I was sorting through my baseball cards, and I found two of these. Tops.
You can make this work. I have faith in your analogies and your
Tops Home Run Challenge. And
there you go.
You go to tops.com promotions and you say, hey, Byron Buxton is going to hit a homer on this day. And I thought, you know what? He didn't play yesterday. I was going to pick yesterday. Why not today? And boy, I was looking pretty bleak there until the ninth when he just absolutely crushed a missile into left. So I will be winning a parallel card. So we'll see what that means as far as if it's a Buxton or a Twin or whatever. But feeling pretty good about that one. Before we talk more about Buck, though, in the ninth, there with 2 outs, first base open, you have the option to pitch to Alex Kirilloff, who's 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, or you walk him, face Julian with the bases loaded, and you have a force at every base, but you also have a guy who walks a lot, has a really good idea of the strike zone. For me, going after Kirilloff made the most sense, made all the sense in the world because, again, not only 4 strikeouts on the night, but if you load them, the specter of walking Julian to me is just too great to risk at that point in the game. In addition to the fact that, like I said, AK had been struggling. Where do you stand on that one?
I think I heard on the broadcast a brief, I wonder what will happen here kind of thing, scenario like you were saying, where they were wondering, well, maybe you'll pitch around Kirilloff or whatever. No, I mean, not when a guy strikes out 4 times, A, you go after him. B, you mentioned Julian being someone who work a count. That, those situations have shrimp written all over them.
Yep, I was just about to say shrimp, yep.
Where you walk, you intentionally walk a guy, and you don't have to throw the ball anymore. But still, no, that's fine. And it's Kirilloff. I mean, hey, as much as we all want Kirilloff to develop into a force, I think you go after Alex Kirilloff at this point in his career. We're not talking about somebody who's been hot as Royce Lewis. So, and even in that at bat, Wilson, if he had a little bit more of put away stuff, or Kirilloff really didn't have any good swings until the last swing. So, I mean, good for him. He needed it. He's a good hitter. He's going to get better. But yeah, you take your chances with Alex Kirilloff in that situation. Absolutely.
And I wondered too if they might do the intentional walk. The Twins did something like that with Eloy. I think it was in the top half, and then eventually Benintendi served that ball into. It would have been the 8th inning then. Served that ball into center to drive home their last 2 runs. And so sometimes you're not putting a guy on, but like they threw Jimenez like 4 or 5 straight sliders that were non-competitive, and he swung at the first one like some kind of samurai sword swing, and then left the other ones. I thought that might be the case too, where you see if you get Kirilloff to expand. Certainly not as regarded as an undisciplined hitter as Jimenez can be at times, but I just wondered if that was maybe going to be the strategy too. But again, you load him up, you get a guy in hot water against Julian, who, he's not hitting that well right now, but all it takes is a walk or a base hit or a ball to get past the catcher or clip his jersey. There's a lot of ways to score a run from third. We've been over that before.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know what way I would have gone with that, but I'm pretty sure I would have gone after Kirilloff. It didn't work out, but I think that's what I would have done. Hey, how about that Buxton home run though? Like, I don't remember the last time I was that happy for a player, because He had that ball that almost went out the other night against the Tigers, and it didn't. And, you could tell he's searching at the plate a little bit. There was a good breakdown by Parker Hageman of Twins Daily about how pitchers were working away from him.
Right.
He hadn't made that adjustment yet. So it'd be interesting to see if that is his next step. But 3 hits, no matter how they came. The homer was a screamer, but the double was just kind of a oops swing down the first baseline. I don't know. I think if I was to pick this guy needed this kind of game, I might land on Byron Buxton.
And it's funny too. I think it was Morneau. It might have been Corey, who said, "Yeah, when he hit the on the ball that was the home run, he was busting it out of the box, in reference to running hard in case it was in play, and he wasn't watching it. That's for sure. So, I think I don't know if that's like good karma coming back on him or what, but he hit the ball well. He's been swinging the bat better. I think, what did we say? 5 extra base hits in his last 7 games, or
sounds right.
7 and 5, one of those 2 things. So he's been, if you look at his StatCast charts, they're a little pink, which is good. He's not, he's got very low expected batting average and slugging percentages, but he hasn't been hitting the ball terribly, and it's frustrating too, for Buxton fans, because he is capable of spitting on those sliders that are down and that he's not going to hit. You see sometimes that he does have good recognition up at the plate. I don't know if he always trusts himself or it's just one of those things, but he's not always a guy that a really good pitcher is just going to get out. He's got tools at the plate to let pitches that he shouldn't swing at go by. So That's what is sort of frustrating sometimes about watching him play. He's got lots of positive things going for him too. So I think you're right. He just needed a little more confidence. We've been, celebrating how healthy he's been and just how he's looked in general. It hasn't manifested itself at the plate until the last few days. And I think there's lots of guys though. If you look at the list of guys in Major League Baseball, Julio Rodriguez hit his first home run of the season tonight too. So Buxton ain't the only one. Hitters who have more, talent, sorry, Buck, are struggling worse than him. So he's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's take a quick pause. We have a new sponsor to give some love to, and then we got to talk about Pablo. Tough night for Pablo, especially that 4th inning. And a few different things here. We'll get you ready for Game 3 of the series on Wednesday. But again, first, a quick break. Our new sponsor is DoorDash. And if you're wanting to make the mother in your life feel special, DoorDash wants to do that for you on Mother's Day. We all have someone in our life who is an important person who is also a mother. It might be your mother. Might be your mother-in-law. It might be the mother of your children. It might be your daughter who is a mother. There are so many different combinations / permutations, but DoorDash wants to help you either by giving her gifts or flowers for Mother's Day delivered the very same day. And it's pretty exciting. So if she has a sweet tooth or she likes technology stuff, health and beauty products, you name it, you can get it delivered to her the same day. Now, I don't know that I would recommend waiting until the last minute, but if you do, DoorDash can help you. I know that I've been into Target and I've looked at that greeting card section on Sunday after I've already given my wife her gift. So and those looks of panic are palpable. And the gaps of cards on the shelves, again, palpable. So you can get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Locked On MLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Again, use the code Locked On MLB. All one word, Locked On MLB. All right, Dave, we can't ignore Pablo having a tough night in this one. Velo dropped, and it was just the location and everything was a little spotty. Home plate umpiring was a little spotty, but we'll find out more about that when the report card drops in the morning. But if I'm not mistaken, 38 pitches in the first 3 innings, 38 pitches in the 4th inning. Twins have a general concept of if a pitcher throws this many pitches in an inning, their day is going to be done. And I think that it's in the neighborhood of 40. I also think, 50 degrees, stiff wind, kind of that raw, cold, wet feeling in the air. There's really no reason to push him. I mean, you got Cody Funderburk come in, Cole Sands, Steven Okert, and Jay Jackson. So you didn't use Griffin Jacks. You didn't use Brock Stewart. You still won a ball game. And combined by those guys, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Jackson did have a spot there where he was, didn't get everybody you wanted him to get. Boy, I don't know what more he has to do to get into that late inning ether, but he's close to it. For me, he's been just incredible. I don't know. I mean, I think on a night that Pablo didn't have it, they did well by Pablo to get him out of there early, and they did well by the bullpen to piece it together. Just an impressive team win, even if it was winning ugly.
No matter what turns out to be the issue with Pablo, just having a bad night, or, you see a velocity drop like that and you raise your eyebrows, no matter what it turns out to be, I think it was a good move to get him out of there. It's a little disappointing that he couldn't go longer, but when you're laboring to throw almost 40 pitches and your success is iffy, he just really the 3-run homer was the big hit allowed, but he was in more trouble than that. And we'll see what he says tomorrow. I was hanging around on Twitter to see if the beat writers had mentioned anything from Rocco's post-game conference. Wasn't really able to listen to it because we're doing the show simultaneously, but to see if there was anything to Pablo's velocity drop. You mentioned the weather. I don't know. Fetty was fine with it. That's the only thing I would say about that. So I don't know if the weather is, but physiologically speaking, maybe Pablo just couldn't get loose. That is something that pitchers don't say a lot anymore, but it's still a possible, condition or excuse or whatever that pitchers use sometimes. So hopefully it's nothing more than just a bad night. But you're right about if the bullpen has done anything all season, it's the job of the bullpen is to keep the team in the game. Basically, don't let it get away from them. And they've done that almost every time out. We had some issues tonight. Benintendi came up with a big hit after the Twins had narrowed the gap. But you're right about Sands. He looks like a guy who is, probably should get a couple innings every time out. Rocco has talked about. I'm sure Rocco is just dreaming of having a healthier bullpen where he can do things like that, and he can give Cole Sands 2 innings or 7 outs or something like that. It looks like he can handle it. So there are some good signs, and as long as Pablo is not compromised physically at all, then the Twins will move on from this with a win and try and go for 3 out of 3 tomorrow.
Game 3 is Garrett Crochet against Joe Ryan, 6:40 first pitch. You can catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app, search Twins. Again, 6:40 p.m. is the Game 3 matchup, Crochet against Ryan. I want to read some bullpen numbers to you before we skedaddle on out of here. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Twins ERA from their bullpen, 2.82. That is 5th among big league bullpens. Their whip of 1.17 is 9th, so not perfect, but not bad. Opponents have a slash line of 216, 297, 350. That's a 647 OPS, which comes out to also 9th. So comfortably a top 10 bullpen. They've thrown 83 combined innings. They have allowed 10 home runs. That's about the only thing that would concern me, and even that is still just a hair over a homer per 9 innings, so not that bad.
And sort of on that note, and what we're talking about before with the bullpen depth, Yohan Duran did his session, not a session, but he did a rehab inning for St. Paul. 2 runs, 4 hits allowed, 3 strikeouts. So he got 3 outs, and they were all strikeouts. Through 27 pitches, 15 for strikes, 6 fastballs, averaged 98.1 miles an hour and topped at 99. Through 14 curveballs and 7 splitters, or splinkers, if you will, according to the Saints. Had a 50% whiff rate. So that's encouraging enough. It's not perfect, but it's getting Duran back in the bullpen would get other guys, not so much Jackson Stewart, but other guys in a more comfortable, less high leverage. You could extend the game a little bit. That's going to be huge for the starting rotation too. Getting him and Topa back. It's they still have things where they could use another starting pitcher, no question about it. But things like getting Duran back will add up.
Yeah, especially when they sent out Louis Varland. Obviously, that means almost certainly Simeon Woods Richardson will take that spot in the rotation. So we'll see what happens there. Some fun names in that Rochester Red Wings lineup, the former Twins affiliate playing the Saints tonight. Robert Gisselman, the pitcher for the Mets back in the day, threw 2 2/3. And Travis Blankenhorn, former Twins prospect.
Blankenhorn, get down here.
Yeah, he had that one play in Oakland that if you say Blankenhorn in Oakland, they'll remember. It's like a Rise's overthrow later in that game. So, hey, Dave, that was great. If Wolves fans are hanging out with us, thank you so much. Make sure to check out Ben Beacon and Locked On Wolves because things are going great for them. So Wolves back, Twins back, and we'll be back in 20-some hours for another Locked On Twins. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night.